The Indian industry is still in shock following the death of Sona Comstar chairman Sanjay Kapur at the age of 53. Kapoor died due to a heart attack while playing polo at the Guards Polo Ground in the UK on the 13th of June. He had been chairman since 2019 and was responsible for expanding the company's footprint across India, US, Mexico, China and Serbia. The company, which is a leading manufacturer of electric vehicle components and gets 36% of its revenues from electric vehicles, recently made a foray into making sensors and software through acquisition of Novelic. Just weeks before his death, Sona Comstar had also acquired the railway business from Escorts Kubota. Former Blackstone executive Mark Overley, who was earlier on the board of Sona Comstar, has now been appointed as chairman, and Priya Sachdev Kapoor has been appointed as an additional non-executive director of the company. What next now for Sona Comstar? The legacy that Sanjay Kapur leaves behind and the company's path to future growth. To discuss all of this, we're now joined by Vivek Vikram Singh, Managing Director of Sona Comstar. Vivek, thank you very much for joining us during this very, very tragic period. It's still not sinking in, even with us. You've said it in multiple occasions over the last few weeks that he was your best friend. And I know it is a very difficult time for you, Vivek. Could you give us a sense of what perhaps was his last conversation with you when it came to taking the company forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's still in works. Last conversation was around something we were trying to do inorganically, and he was very pro, because he's always very pro. He was always very pro technology. So that was our last conversation. I used him as a sounding board and to see where the board would lean if I would propose it. So we had done some work. So that was the last conversation. But the last real conversation was actually about, I was on holiday in Japan, and he was telling me which all restaurants I should go to, he knew what my kids like to eat. So he was saying, you should take them here, you should do this. Frankly, that was the last conversation. Again, I think we had far more personal conversations than we ever did work conversations. It was that kind of relationship. Work-wise, like I said, his view was always plan for the next 25 years, plan for the next 25 years. He wasn't very into the short term of it. I mean, if you realize he's been a shareholder for so long, for him, the longer term interest mattered far more than what typically your capital market investors ask, right? Capital market investors and you guys in the business press ask us questions mostly pertaining to 3 months to a year. His questions were more about 10 to 25. So that was the difference. Hopefully our new chairman, Jeff, who I've worked with for a long time, he too has that same mindset. So hopefully we can have a good working relationship.
You were a diversified company. You got into the railways business very recently, perhaps just about a few weeks before his death. 36 or 37% of your revenues come from electric vehicle components only. How did he want to diversify, enter new markets? Did he have a 10-year vision that he shared with you?
We used to make these 10-year plans of what is the next 10 year. So if you look at our journey in the last 10 years I've been in this company, 6 years I've run it, 4 years when Sanjay was MD, I was his CFO, then COO, head of strategy, did many roles at that time. 10 years we grew by looking west, adding new product verticals and getting into electric vehicles. These were the three things we did, and this is responsible for 90% of the growth delta. We've grown 10 times, 350 crore to over 3,500. The same strategy cannot work for the next decade because the world's shifting. Geopolitics is shifting, trends are shifting. So our new plan for the next 10 years, and it will be in our annual report, is this, that we actually ignored the East completely while we were looking west, which means we ignored actually India. We ignored China, Japan, Korea. So now the new strategy will be look west and east we have to add many more new product verticals, because the biggest delta actually came not from EV or West, it actually came from adding new products. We were a single product company 10 years ago, now we have dozens. We have to multiply that manyfold again in the next 10 years. And third, apart from EV, we have to get into the other trends that are coming in the wider mobility area. So whether it be eVTOLs, humanoids, AV, autonomous vehicle, software, the increasing software content. So that in a nutshell is what we wrote down for our next 10 years. And it's just sad that he won't be able to read it, but it will be in our annual report this year.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. I would also like to ask you about who now takes over from Sanjay Kapur. All the day-to-day management of the company is being handled by you, Vivek, and immediately after his demise, that is what the board had also said, that you will continue leading the company and handling all the day-to-day management. But as the role of chairman, Mark Overly now takes over. Compared to the kind of role Sanjay played, and Sanjay was very active in terms of industry bodies, representing Sona Comstar before the government, before the industry. What role will Mark Overly play now?
Jeff's role as a chairman of the board. So the chairman of the board has responsibilities, as you well know, but when it's a non-executive role in a 9-member board, it is limited to guiding the board towards better decisions. Their biggest job is to basically ensure management team continuity, whether we are doing succession planning, risk management, have oversight. That oversight role, I think Jeff is more than qualified to do. He's been on a board long enough to know all the ins and outs. That bit, I am not even concerned an iota. Running of the day-to-day, I'm not concerned an iota. Yes, I will have to take on some of his industry representation and government things that I may not be able to be as good as him, because I'm not that personality. I'm not that extroverted. I'm not that outgoing. But there is no alternative.
Speaking about the role of Priya Sachdev Kapoor, she has been appointed as an additional director in the company. Could you tell us what will be her role in terms of day-to-day operations, in terms of contribution to the board and the company?
So, as you know, she's been appointed as a non-executive additional director. So, non-executive director, like all the other 7 now, we have 7 other directors apart from the 2 executive directors. It's similar. They are there to provide oversight. They are there to look at whether the company is on its right path. See, management has a lot of control on how things are done. But we too need our conviction tested by a board. We serve at the pleasure of the board. The board is supposed to represent the will of all the shareholders.
My final questions would be about the roadmap and some of the crisis points that the government, the industry is facing right now. One, on the issue of the rare earth crisis. How badly is that impacting you right now?
So look, the rare earth crisis is real. It's present. It's been there since 8th April. 8th April is when the export controls came into effect. And till China actually releases this crisis, I don't know what the resolution is in the short term. In the medium term, government is planning certain measures. We are trying our best to support and advise the government in their initiative to do that. There is about 7 to 8% of our revenue that comes from traction motors. A portion of that will be impacted directly. Now, what will be the indirect impact, Parikshit, is the hardest to understand, because let's say we supply a part which has no rare earth magnets to a company in India, to a passenger vehicle car maker in India. And that company needs a magnet for some other part because of which there is a production loss. That could be an indirect impact, but there is no way for us to estimate that impact as of today. As we roll forward, we see it. But Parikshit, again, in our industry, you've covered us long enough as an industry to know that every 6 months there is a new crisis.
Right. So no production cuts? Are you looking at production cuts as a result of this crisis?
For a traction motor business, of course, there are production cuts. But for other things, the indirect bit, like I said, we have zero estimates right now.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Vivek. Appreciate the fact that you took time out to explain the strategy of the company going forward, how the management structure has changed, what the role of every individual is going to be. This was a very helpful conversation. Many thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Parikshit.